Elite Dangerous has been with us since the 16th of December 2014. In that time, a lot of players have come and gone. A few have stuck around, many new players continue to arrive as well. After over 7 years on the market then, and over 9 years of active development, it feels like a great time to take a look back at every time Elite Dangerous has been updated since 2014. An extensive alpha and beta phase were how things began for Elite Dangerous. It all kicked off on the 13th of December 2013, and over the course of the next year, the testing went through numerous phases. Beginning in just a single area, the alpha was designed to test flight mechanics, NPC combat, and numerous other things. Over the course of the next 5 months, Frontier slowly added multiplayer combat, docking, outfitting, trade and exploration. Towards the end, hyperspace and supercruise and the galaxy map finally arrived. Now interestingly, during the testing phase, players could only access a limited number of star systems. Over time, this moved from just 3 star systems to a few more. On the galaxy map, a visible boundary was placed. Many players called this the Pill due to its shape. Many others called it the Bubble, and that is a name that is still used to this day. Anything outside of this bubble was inaccessible until the final testing phase, which took place in November of 2014. In December of the same year, after 1 year of testing, Elite Dangerous version 1 was launched. The great thing about Elite wasn't just that it marked the return of an iconic space franchise set in an epically realistic galaxy, but also that Frontier had stated the game would get regular updates. Though I don't think that Frontier ever actually stated this, the implied message always seemed to be regular small updates every few months, followed by yearly large expansions. Some people will argue that Frontier never stated that, and they would of course be quite right. Nonetheless, the belief from many people at the time was regular content updates seemed assured. The first free update arrived just 2 months after the game's launch. Community Goals went live on the 10th of February 2015. This introduced the capability for players to complete joint objectives. It's a feature that is still regularly used today, although they went into a regular long hiatus, multiple hiatus in fact, between 2018 and 2020. Just 1 month later, on the 10th of March 2015, Frontier released Wings. This allowed players to form small groups and participate in content together. This update also saw the introduction of the Fer-de-Lance and the Vulture, 2 brand new spaceships. Keep in mind that during this time, Elite also received small patches on a close to weekly basis after these larger updates. Powerplay, the next update, arrived on the 5th of June 2015, already just 6 months into the game's release, and 3 brand new updates in addition to the game's release itself. Now arguably, Powerplay was Frontier's first real misstep with Elite. Up until this point, the game had a lot of clear sailing. Powerplay, however, proved to be fairly divisive amongst the community. Introducing a board-like game element to the galaxy, the feature allowed players to participate in something akin to a galactic version of Risk. The concept was good, but the grind was certainly a bit of an issue. Nonetheless, many players quite enjoyed it. CQC was an unusual update, another game external to the main game, accessed from a separate menu. Close quarters combat allowed players to participate in arena combat using Sidewinders and other smaller ships. Overall, CQC was and remains a lot of fun. The main issue though, of course, has always been the limited replayability and the number of maps, not to mention the low number of active players. Regardless, it was a neat addition to the game. So then, the game released at the end of 2014 and then received 4 updates in 2015. At the end of 2015, almost 1 year exactly to the day, the first expansion for Elite was released. This was the first paid update and seemed to be following the implied plan of a major paid update every year. Horizons allowed players to land on non-atmospheric planets. It even allowed players to drive around the surface of the planets in a surface roving vehicle. The update also introduced 5 brand new ships, something everyone would expect from an expansion to a game about spaceships. It took 5 months for the next update to arrive. On the 26th of May 2016, the engineers turned up. The new patch allowed players to enhance their ships and modules through a variety of upgrades. It was an interesting new facet to the game and opened up many new avenues for players to explore in terms of game mechanics. For me, however, and perhaps quite a number of other people, it marked a turning point with Elite. Engineers' gameplay was very much focused on the collecting of numerous resources. This was time-intensive and not at all something that I personally enjoyed. The player base was largely divided over this aspect of the game. However, the following years, Frontier reduced the overbearing intensity of the grind. However, many facets of it do still remain. Either way though, the Engineers was a huge update for the game that took it in many new directions. By October of 2016, it was clear that Frontier's pace of development for Elite Dangerous had slowed significantly. 10 months into the second year of Elite Dangerous, and only one update released so far, and that had been the Engineers. This compared to the first year of Elite Dangerous, where they released 4 updates. The second update of the year arrived on the 25th of October 2016. This was the official introduction of the long-extinct alien race and their mysterious ruins. The update also saw the arrival of passenger missions, ship transfer, as well as ship-launched fighters. The next update took 6 months to arrive. Half a year after the release of the Guardians, the Commanders went live. On the 17th of April 2017, players gained access to a fully customizable player avatar, something that Frontier called a HoloMe, a virtual representation of the player character that could be changed and customized at any time. The update also introduced multi-crew. This allowed players, for the first time, to fly on board another player's ship. From all accounts, multi-crew was extremely problematic for Frontier to develop. This was revealed by the huge number of problems, bugs and issues the game had after the update released. It really wouldn't be an understatement to say that few people at least felt this update come very close to completely breaking the game. Unfortunately also, some people felt that the update simply didn't live up to expectations. The age-old enemy of humanity made their return on the 26th of September 2017 with the arrival of the Thargoids. These alien ships brought about all manner of mysterious new gameplay for players to get involved with, including the long-anticipated Thargoid combat. The return was an interesting time for Elite and marked the culmination of nearly 2 years of story-driven updates. Previously, smaller unannounced updates included Thargoid ground bases, strange alien structures that came to be known as the Barnacles, mysterious alien probes, and more. It also eventually led to space stations being attacked for the first time by the alien menace. The return marked the end of the Horizons season. After Horizons, Elite went on to have another round of updates, this time under the banner of Elite Dangerous Beyond. This was an entirely free set of updates. It was available to everyone who had purchased Elite and was split across 4 separate chapters. The theme of this season of content was about improving the fundamentals of the overall game. Chapter 1 of Beyond went live on the 27th of February 2018. New planetary visuals, a new ship, the Chieftain, improved trading and crime and punishment changes were the highlights of this update. The chapter also contained a number of other things which improved the overall feel and flow of the game, such as material traders to help with the engineering grind and technology brokers that allowed players to unlock certain weapons and modules. Chapter 2 was a far smaller update. On the 28th of June 2018, it delivered 2 new ships, the Challenger and the Crate Mark II. The patch also contained a number of fixes and smaller additions, such as new Thargoid Scout variants. Like Chapter 2, Chapter 3 was also a smaller update. It released on the 28th of August 2018. The update saw the arrival of yet another new ship, the Crusader. Engineers were expanded into the Colonia region, the new Guardian content was added, and some new technology modules also arrived which were dependent upon interacting with that new Guardian-focused content. The fourth and final update for the Beyond season, Chapter 4, was the largest of the 4 updates. This was released on the 11th of December 2018. 2 new ships, the Great Phantom and the Mamba, were introduced. The patch also delivered a complete overhaul of both mining and exploration. Mining was now split into 4 distinctly separate modes, whilst exploration came with a new suite of tools for exploring and analysing deep space. Additionally, the update also added squadrons, a new way for players to group together, essentially a very basic version of guilds in everything but name. Now, in between chapters 3 and 4, Frontier made a rather interesting announcement. The message was posted to the official Elite forums and was, fairly long. This was the first time that Frontier mentioned a newly in development significant update for Elite that would take the game into the next era, and this was going to be a paid expansion. The message was posted on the 31st of August 2018. The expansion itself, later known as Odyssey, arrived almost 3 years later on the 19th of May 2021. During the years in between, updates for Elite were sparse. In fact, only one update of any note, of any significance, did arrive. Originally planned as a part of the Bronze season in 2018, fleet carriers were delayed numerous times. These huge player-owned ships were finally released on the 9th of June 2020. Fleet carriers, in many ways, shifted the nature of Elite. They granted players ownership over what amounted to personal or private space stations that could be moved anywhere within the galaxy. These vast assets cost tons of credits, but for many people they were well worth it. For others, however, the high price of carriers meant that the vessels were out of their reach for those without the necessary credits. Fleet carriers was the last update of any significance that Elite received for nearly 1 year. After much hype and anticipation, Elite Dangerous Odyssey released on the 19th of May 2021. This huge expansion, by far the largest update Frontier have ever released, finally added the ability for players to leave their ships. It added on-foot combat, the ability to walk around planetary surfaces and station interiors. New light, atmospheric planets were added. In many areas of the game, the graphics were either changed or improved. Whilst Odyssey added significant on-foot content, it added virtually nothing for space-based aspects of the game and failed to deliver even a single new spaceship. The ability to walk around inside player ships was also notably absent. Now, most people will be well aware of the problems that surrounded the launch of Odyssey. They were significant and, in many cases, game-breaking. Performance was poor, even on high-end BCs. There are also numerous complaints about the gameplay itself being extremely basic, superficial, and repetitive. Since launch, however, Frontier have released 10 updates for Odyssey, each improving performance and stability. A brand new SRV had also been added. Fleet carrier interiors are also included in the lineup of updates for Odyssey. Overall then, Elite Dangerous has had a very interesting run so far. The early years of Elite were full of promise. Riding a wave of crowdfunding and nostalgia, Elite launched 2 regular ongoing updates alongside regular interaction from the developers. Over the years, the updates and the developer interaction faded somewhat, but the community's love for the game remained strong. In recent years, all of this has undoubtedly changed. That's not to say that Elite is in a bad place. In many ways, it's in a pretty good place. However, things do change, and that is the nature of any long-term game. Where Elite heads next is anyone's guess. Whatever happens though, it's certainly going to be worth paying attention to. Do let me know in the comment section below what you'd like to see added to Elite over the coming years. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.